Welcome to the Broken Pistol Booking Company Pro Wrestling Podcast, infused with hip hop. I am Wood, and that's why Burgundy, he ain't giving you none of that extra because we don't have a new intro yet, and that's coming soon.
I've been telling the internet to stay classy for a decade and a half, and apparently it's not working. Jeez, bro. Like, every time you get an opportunity to be ain't poop, you take that opportunity to be ain't poop.
Oh, me?
Not you.
Oh.
Everybody watching and listening to this program will know exactly who I'm aiming my comments at as soon as we get into this first topic. Off the top. What?
It's been a minute since we've been able to do this in daylight hours. Today is Friday, September the 15th, year of our Lord.
Year of our Lord.
I said, year of our Lord.
Year of our Lord.
20 and 20. Tree.
Wiggle wee, convenient, bring me your dinner bucket.
Let the church say.
Hey. I got way more energy for a lot of stuff now that we doing this back in daylight hours. So I tell you what, somebody finna get a whole lot of smoke.
Yeah, a whole lot of profanity-free smoke, if you will. Yo,
right? They're gonna test the boundaries today, but yeah.
As we were recording, I got the on the agenda for today is the PWI Pro Wrestling Illustrated top 10 list. But as we were getting ready to record, in my email, I got the complete 500 list. So if it's just in my email just now, it's breaking news to me, I'll take it. I may be late to the party, don't matter. Ain't nobody else talking about it but us right now. So here we go. So
by the time people see this, it won't matter whether it's breaking news or not. The way we plan to handle it, it'll be news for everybody.
That said, I'm going to go. Oh, wow. Okay, let me stop.
First of all, start with the criteria before we get into what's PWI's criteria for determining this list.
All right, so Pro Wrestling Illustrated does this does a period where they decide who does what when. That period, or where they rank rather, that period is from July 1st to July 1st every year. The
7 to 7.
And they base it on 6 key aspects. Okay. Win-loss record, championships won, quality of competition, major feuds, prominence within the organization and or promotion, and also wrestling ability overall. Okay. Sounds like something we would do, right? Like without ever reading these criteria or knowing this criteria, it sounds like something we would do, right?
Kind of. 2 things on that list of criteria seem subjective as AF.
Talk to me.
Run them off again. It may be 3. Do it again.
Win-loss record.
That's subjective because it's not a combat sport.
Championships won.
I'll go with that. That just means those 2 things together just mean you're being booked well.
Now, here's one that's major for me. I'm sure we'll agree with this one. Quality of competition.
Absolutely. I mean, you wrestling ham and eggers. Like, it doesn't matter what your streak is.
We've seen ham and eggers carry champions. Ham and eggers in WWF television carry championships regionally. Like
Goldberg's first 50 were probably 80% ham and eggers,
including Rick Steiner at that time.
Hey, chill.
I mean, at that time,
you want to get slandered?
Not really.
you want to be persona non grata in the state of Georgia? Already tough unless you go into a couple places anyway.
Speaking of the state of Georgia, gang activity right here. Shouts out to JD and Dave with No Country. You know what I'm saying? Rocking their t-shirt. And the wife was rocking hers too. Coincidentally, it was not even planned. So that's
see that unintended alley-oop? That's boy.
That's gangster. Is what that is.
That is gangster. Keep going through the criteria because 2 of them are subjective already, or kind of means you've been booked well. So I would consolidate those. I'm doing this for a reason too, though.
Major feuds.
Absolutely. All goes into being booked well, but yes, go ahead.
I'll throw this to the wayside because we know this is valid. Overall wrestling ability.
That's hella subjective.
Is it?
However, I mean, depends on what type of style you like. If you're more of a grappling, striking connoisseur, you may not like as many of the dives and flips. And then if you're more into the acrobatic style, you may not have okay, perfect example. You might have more of an appreciation for El Vikingo Del Hijo match versus Shane Taylor versus Samoa Joe.
Hijo del Vikingo, which is a topic on this too. And
yeah, however you put it all together, the little Viking.
The one I missed is prominence within the organization or the promotion.
Again, all of those
it seems like all this is subjective if you really want to drill it down.
Of course it is. I mean, most of these things are subjective because you do it based on the opinion of the composer of the list. But
you just made the list.
That part. You just made the list.
You just made the list.
That might be
that's the name of the episode.
You just made the list. Yeah. And the reason I'm asking for this criteria is because at this point, with the way we see professional wrestling and the way some of these media outlets treat things, we might as well just make our own list.
We should, but again,
I'm not going through 500 wrestlers.
Number one, that's not happening.
First and foremost, I'm not going through 500 wrestlers to rank them.
Two, New Japan faithfuls will call us pundits because we'd be subjective in the people that we put into that list while leaving others out simply because we don't watch enough of the product.
Yeah, there's a certain level of fandom for some that takes place in New Japan to where it doesn't translate going back the other way. You know names more than you know ability. And if you're not watching the current product like under a microscope, you wouldn't really know how to properly assess that.
And sadly, that goes less for Impact.
So forth and so on. Like somebody in Impact could be having a fantastic year and we would know nothing about it.
And for me, it all started with a bet.
See? Or like NWA Power. Or NWA Power, or who else has TV? MLW.
Oh, like just you wait. And I'll tell you, MLW has gotten more burned than NWA Power and or Impact over the last 6 months simply because of their time on Reels.
I feel like if we did a top 10, max a top 25, that would be sufficient for us for the content that we digest. 25 would probably be our sweet spot.
I like that. To me, less is more. 500 is you'll here in a second. You'll understand why 500 is a bit much.
Less is more, and less is also Thatcher. It's daylight hours, boy. I'm with it.
You're on a good one. All right, let's run them down. So the top 10. We're not going through this whole 500. We'll jump around with certain people, but we'll give you the top 10 as it sits. We'll comment afterwards. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Jon Moxley, Walter in our house, Hijo del Vikingo, MJF, Kaz Okada, Orange Cassidy, Josh Alexander, Cody Rhodes. That's your top 10 for PWI for 2022 to 2023.
So much disrespect.
Where do we start? First off, this is your daily acknowledgement. Here's where I start. Let me go back to this criteria real quick.
Because that's exactly where I was going to go back to.
Win-loss record, championships won, quality of competition, major feuds, prominence within the promotion, and overall wrestling ability. Roman Reigns has only lost one match in the last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He also has, for a champion, the lowest total of matches of anyone on this top 500. I can say that I know for a fact in the top 10, so I can unequivocally say for the rest of the 500 because nobody else matters when you're talking about the tribal chief, head of the table, WWE Grand Champion.
So from July to July, he's had how many matches?
Maybe 10.
I'm gonna pull up one of our trusty sites.
While you're doing that, let me keep going. Prominence within the organization. Do we need to say anything about that at all?
No.
Hate it or love it, needle mover, best segments on any WWE programming. Um, Main event of WrestleMania. And if you want to be technical about prominence within the organization, 2 nights were the main events of WrestleMania. Quality of wrestling, he's in the wrestling, the GOAT wrestling family. Arguably top 2. The other one being McMahon. Quality of competition, nothing but main events. What are you talking about? Major feuds, stop it. If you have nothing but main events, you have nothing but major feuds. And then so that checks all the boxes. And I'm not saying he should be number 1, but I'm saying you take the person with the highest ranking official with the lowest total of matches, and he's number 2. What are you doing with the rest of this list? Seth Rollins.
Before you move on to Seth Rollins, I'll say this.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If you're going by that criteria, you've already exhausted all of the points that say Roman Reigns is number 1. I know people watching this are going to have a hissy fit about that. It is what it is. What I would say is that you take something from the schoolyard and apply it to the list. You ever remember when you had an odd number of kids and you were trying to play football? And somebody had to be all-time quarterback.
Someone had to be all-time quarterback. Yes, sir.
This is exactly how I would treat Roman Reigns. I would say, look, well, when people do their top 5 and you say, give me your top 5, no Pac, no Biggie. Like you got to take the GOATs off the list.
And if you don't start with Scarface and Jay-Z, your list is probably going to be questionable. And I'll even allow Black Thought and Andre 3000. But again, I digress.
That's a whole nother show that we'll venture into that. That's a whole nother show because I don't think that's neither one of those are my number 1, but I could see why they would be someone else's.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, but points made. But continue. You can continue on yours, please.
It's the whole thing with the criteria, prominence in the promotion, championships, win-loss. Literally 1 loss in a year. Well, for him 3, but just for the sake of this particular list, you take one. As a matter of fact, was it July?
Which one?
Or was it the loss he took to Jay?
That before was, I want to say that was the big. Was it July 1st? That may have been a cut. Boy, hold on, let's see here.
You see what I'm saying?
Let's see here. What was the pay-per-view? Was it Night of Champions?
Yeah, I think yes, it was. It was something to that effect. It was whatever set up SummerSlam.
Of Champions 2023. It definitely wasn't Payback. Nope, Night of Champions was KO-Zania. Let's see here.
Wait, what? Oh, okay. Sometimes we don't care about WWE's pay-per-view show schedule or PLE schedule like that.
Right. Because it definitely wasn't the big one. What Money in the Bank is what that was.
Okay. So it was another international. So Money in the Bank was what?
I think that was on. I want to say that was on July 1st, but let me double check. Money in the Bank 2023.
Yep. On July 1st.
Damn.
He took his 1 loss in the whole year.
The last day of the billing cycle.
The last day of the billing cycle. Are you serious? So then you look at strength of opponents. All of these are main event matches. So the people in those main event matches against him are treated as
main eventers.
This is not criteria we made up. We're just looking at this is just what we had put in front of us. So what else is on there? Championships won. He got them. Ben had them.
Ain't lost nothing.
Ain't lost none of them.
He lost the match, but it was a tag team match, and no belts were on the line. Nothing to talk about here. You have nothing. You have the belts.
So that is okay. What else is on there? What else is on there? He checks off.
Win loss, championships won, quality of competition, major feuds.
Their storyline is carrying the company, not their show, their company. Stop me when I start lying.
Before I come back to this one, because I've jumped over this one a few times while explaining different aspects of this whole dichotomy. Overall wrestling ability, you're the grand champion.
Here's the thing. People, because now Roman doesn't wrestle as often, they like to say that he can't. Wrestling a main event style does not mean you're doing 40, 50 dives. It doesn't mean that we've seen Roman go off, whether it be against AJ Styles, whether it be against Seth Rollins. We know Roman Reigns can work and work at a high level. Do you have to, in the scope of this character, do you have to do a lot of the same stuff you were doing versus an AJ Styles or a Matt Riddle or whoever, insert name here? A lot of that stuff doesn't even take place because you don't have to do it.
Riddle me this. Give me two people where you would have to go back into your old arsenal just to show somebody that you really got it.
Probably Seth. Probably
Seth is worth it, and we'll come back to him in a second. He's worth it for a number of reasons. Go ahead, give me another one.
Somebody that you have to go into your catalog for. Roman Reigns' style works like running the football in the NFL. It travels. You can take defense and running game to anybody's stadium and win. So we're in a situation where he doesn't necessarily have to change his style for anybody. But if you end up in a situation where you need to switch to another gear, we all know that he can. And anybody saying otherwise is just doing it for the sake of trying to hate.
Remember when Undertaker brought out the triangle choke?
Yes.
Nowhere.
Right.
Roman did the exact same thing with the guillotine.
Absolutely. So here's the thing about Roman Reigns' in-ring style.
Here's the thing.
If we're going to sit up and discuss who he may have to get it back in his bag for, the truth of the matter is Roman's style as the tribal chief, as far as his in-ring match style, is like defense and running game in the NFL. It travels. You can take it to any stadium and win with it.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter who it is. Doesn't matter how high-powered the offense is. If you can control the clock, run the ball, and stop the other team from scoring, you will win the game.
If we were able to see what Good Try Terry could do in New Japan, just imagine what we could get if we had just one shot with Roman Reigns over in Japan.
It's not even the fact that it has to be in Japan. Like I say, it travels. He could take the same style he's wrestling right now to Japan. It's the whole trying to get a highly rated match. I'm not even going to use the star system that everybody else be on. It's just you want glory. You want a highlight. And I get it. Like as a standalone, you can have one great match, but if there's no story attached to it, there's no interest, there's no build, it's just a match. And guess what? Next week, someone's going to have one that makes that one forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason. Like you can make it a hot line, somebody else gonna make it a hot song. I got bars that like individual bars that are probably among the best ever composed just because of how clever and attention to detail. Here's the problem. If that bar isn't a part of a classic verse that is a part of a above average, good to great, maybe classic song on a good to great or classic project, it doesn't matter.
It's a tree that fell in the forest with no one around.
It's an Instagram caption. That's it. It don't travel. It has a shelf life. It has to be compounded by great content surrounding it. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. Anybody gonna try to argue the greatness of any of those matches, let alone the retirement match?
Definitely not.
And what makes those matches even better? The fact that there's story, build, emotional attachment to what you're seeing. You could go back and watch that match right now, and you're gonna get the same feeling because you know what's attached to it. It's not a TV match where it's like 60 kickouts. Like, I get it. We're in video game match culture where and to be honest, WWE 2K is partially to blame because on one of those releases, I want to say it might have been 20 or no, it was 19, where part of playing the game was getting star ratings for your matches. So winning the match was not good enough. If you didn't entertain to the level to get your star count up, the points you got for it were not as good. So now you got people doing 16 finishers just to get the star rating up. It translates into real life now.
Yep, absolutely.
Because a lot of people, especially, well, I won't even say outside of Stanford included, are performing for an audience of one. And that one ain't really qualified to be doing that.
Give me one other person that Roman Reigns could dance with and still keep the same or turn the bag up for.
That is a good question. Somebody worthy of him getting in his bag. You don't really see a lot of that style wise, bro. I think you'd have to bring somebody else in, like, because Bobby Lashley would wrestle the same kind of bruising style.
He's also older. Like the older, if you're north of 40, we can expect the same Roman Reigns simply because it's safer for the opponent.
Facts. Like I say, I keep going back to guys like AJ Styles and Finn Balor. Like, you can turn up for them because of the style they wrestle, but both of them are at an elevated, more mature age where, they're going to be very selective about when they execute those types of moves or sequences.
I would like to think that Carmelo Hayes would be that guy, but at the same time, Carmelo Hayes would be the one to get chin checked and be like, hey, dial it back a little bit. You seem like a la Brock Lesnar and Strowman.
Okay, put it like this. As long as Roman's a heel, you're not going to see him work that turned up style. So you'd have to switch him face and then look at the heels you have that would line up for him and then pick one. So like Damian Priest.
I'm still not convinced he's a heel all the way, but continue.
He's not a heel at our house, but just how the internet works. You know how the internet works,
yeah.
And you know how it works when the champion looks a certain way. When the champion looks a certain way, we're gonna find we are gonna find ways to discredit, limit, and marginalize everything they do until they lose.
Now, let's not stay on this Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins thing too long because we got other people to discuss. Let me give you Seth Rollins as a comparison. Some of his, basically his notable feuds over the last year. Finn Balor, too much Austin Theory, too much Bobby Lashley. Let's see, Usos. Let's see who else we got here. Riddle, Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley were all together for a hot minute, and then Balor again. That's pretty much your whole year, your whole bargaining year for Seth Rollins. Riddle, Bobby Lashley, Austin Theory, and Finn Balor with a smattering of Kevin Owens, a smattering of Dolph.
Dolph.
Who? I think that's pretty much it. I know he had a feud with not even a feud. A match with each member of the Street Profits, the Chain Gang, State Prop. A little bit of Miz in there too. But like,
Just
but
anybody
again,
for
the
anybody for a TV match.
the consistent like every day, you're guaranteed to see this was Theory, Lashley, Riddle. That was, and in fact, right at the top of the new season of Monday Night Raw last fall, that's all we saw for weeks.
So
You tell me. Go ahead.
Seth Rollins' PWI campaign kind of boils down to it's a steakhouse. They only serve one thing, but they're going to cook it perfectly every time.
Mm.
They're going to serve you the same thing, but they're going to prepare it well. Cool.
Yes.
Cool. I'm with it. We've already had the conversation about number of title defenses. So at the point of starting or ending in July, Seth had been world heavyweight champion for relatively two and a half, maybe 3 months.
Maybe 3 months, yeah.
So him and Roman are going to have the same amount of title defenses in that span because they had the same amount up until Payback,
which is insane. But yeah, continue.
Exactly. That's one of those stats you're like, okay, I liken that because NFL season's back. If you ever decide to Google Julio Jones's career stats versus Dez Bryant, and you find out how many more touchdowns Dez Bryant has, it's like,
okay, talk Swab. There it is.
Look, I can't teach everybody, but Roman is number one for all the obvious reasons. You ain't gotta like it, but you're gonna have to respect it.
If we're comparing the notes based on the criteria,
that's all we doing is following criteria. Like it doesn't even matter that Roman's one of our favorites. It's just the fact of the criteria.
Especially when you talk about who number 3 is.
This is entirely too high for that guy.
Number 3 is Jon Moxley. Now, here's the cute thing about this PWI. You got the Shield 1, 2, and 3.
Which you know, Seth tweeted, but okay. Seth tweeted it out, but I've also seen in different situations, like when Mox first went to AEW, he said they weren't even really talking like that. Then we know what Seth has said, whether it be, you know, storyline or truth said in jest, said about his position. So how genuine is that post? I guess. Is it more Kung Fu pander, or is it like, man, we really did this?
Where we
feel me?
I mean, it very, very well could be more Kung Fu pander, and it's expected. But at the same time, like, you know, there's glimpses of greatness here and there. And I'm not trying to take away anything from him because, you know, we just got off the whole Nakamura thing. He can't shake Cody. You know what I'm saying? There's levels to this whole run he's having over the last year. But at the same time, like back up. At least with the chef who's cooking the steak at number 2, Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, at least you know that whatever type of cut of meat is put in front of you is going to get served up properly. Seth just cooks steak,
right? And
it's the same steak. It's perfect every time,
but it's perfectly cooked. Like you're gonna get a T-bone. And whatever your choice, whether it be medium rare, whatever, it's gonna be cooked perfectly every time. But it's the same meal.
Let's see here now.
That third guy, you can, if it's my list, nah, he's not getting ranked that high. I'm sorry. Even though I know he saved AEW from what kind of was a PR nightmare that ended up being a PR nightmare anyway, and he stood in the gap when things were tough. I'm sorry, I don't need to see anybody bleed that many times.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. There's way too much blood to have this man that high on the list, especially when it came unnecessarily. The one time where we thought he should have bled, he wasn't going to, but he made somebody else bleed. Thanks.
Like if you were gonna bleed, cool, but make it mean something. Don't just bleed for the sake of bleeding, because I mean, there's so many reasons that's not safe. So many reasons that's not healthy for you or anybody else, but
Let's start with the fact that your wife is backstage watching this every time. Like,
she's made peace with this already, I would assume. I don't like discussing anybody's wife. That's a whole lot of stuff. That's a whole lot of fist fighting going on.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna I would feel like she's been around long enough. She sees him when we don't see him. So I think that has already been discussed, and it's a situation where she's made peace with it.
But let's rationalize this. This man is the new Abdullah the Butcher. And we saw the dark side of the ring.
So I would say he is Neiman Marcus Nick Gage.
Wow.
Like, we've scaled some people down, like, Timu this, great value.
Oh,
this.
no.
We're leveling it up. We've never gone the other way. John Moxley is like Neiman Marcus, or give me another really upscale department store.
What's that? Not Neiman's. What's
Saks Fifth?
Saks Fifth. Bloomingdale's. What's the
Tiffany's.
What's the British brand that was all of Barney's?
Oh, Barney. But yes, he's that version of Nick Gage, and it's almost literal at this point. He pull pizza cutter, screwdriver. Same, my boy. Same.
Gunther, Walter in our house. Let's talk about Walter.
Top 3, not 3.
We talked about last year him beating Honky Tonk Man's record, and now he officially has done so. Like, it's a Rappington.
Hey, I heard something very, very funny about that. He's beat the record, but there's a fun fact mixed in there, right?
Talk to me.
Nobody, when counting up the numbers of Honky Tonk Man's total title reign, nobody took into account that 1988 was a leap year. So the number's wrong.
Wow.
We've been quoting the wrong number the whole time.
So it's 455.
At least.
Well, wait. So what depends on what day he won it in 1988?
Hey, listen. Far be it of me to stop you from doing your Googles.
And that's that's what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, because I know you.
Yeah. So it was June 13th, 1987. So you're absolutely right. He carried it through February 29th, 1988. There's an extra day. So 455 was the day I said that Walter was going to beat the record. He actually tied it at 455, which would have been this past Tuesday.
So you would have had him defended on NXT.
No, that's past a week ago Tuesday.
Right. So you would have had him beat Gable on Monday and then defended in the main event of NXT.
The way NXT is playing a game of let me show you how to do this, son, that would have been apropos. That would have actually been a great idea.
They're boosting the numbers. They are boosting NXT numbers. Not enough for me to start back watching, but they are boosting the ratings on these NXT numbers, and I kind of know why, because Stamford is the epicenter of petty. They're doing it to where essentially the third tier show in their content catalog is competing with and or beating the number one show on the other brand.
And Dom and Rhea have a lot to do with that.
Bam. If you like looking at Rhea Ripley, you're gonna tune in to see that. If nothing else, Dom is heat magnet supreme. Like, you got to start checking the birth certificates. Like,
he's actually a playable character in NXT at this point. Like, he not only is he the North American champion, but his storylines are way different in NXT than what they are on the main roster. How do I know this? Because neither one of them interchange, and all we see is him wearing the belt on Raw and SmackDown. It's not rocket science. What else? Who we got? Hijo del Vikingo, MJF.
Let's see. Those two should be switched.
Hold on. I'm going to do you one better. Why is Hijo del Vikingo on this list?
Because he does really cool flips.
That's pretty much it. He's a human video game character.
And see, what did I just say? He can do all the cool moves. He can do the stuff that'll go viral on Instagram.
So, you know who, to me, is a better character, a better candidate for this top 10, who's not even on the top 10?
Ospreay.
Big Bruv, exactly. How did you know I was going to say Big Bruv?
Good guess. Just a good guess.
The fact that you said that and did not even know that I was going there that shows you where we're at.
Synergy. I mean, Will Ospreay can do everything anybody else you put on the list for that reason can do. And he can also strike. And he doesn't look so tiny that it's almost unbelievable that he has a win-loss record that's anywhere near. Okay.
Let's okay. I'm gonna run through. This is courtesy of Pro Fight DB. Okay, Pro Fight Database.
Okay.
These are his losses. He was in a 8-man tag match and lost to Bushi, Takahashi, Sanada, and Naito.
Okay.
Another loss against Dave Finlay, Wato, Taguchi, and the DKC. Another loss against the Shalit. Another loss against Ricky Knight, and this is at the Rev Pro 10-year anniversary. A loss against Kaz Okada. A loss against Takagi rather. Another loss against Dave Finlay.
Most of those losses he ended up avenging too.
A loss on Dynamite versus against Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, and Trent Beretta. Let's see here. This was a War of Attrition match at Warrior Wrestling. Casey Navarro won. You can't with the cast of characters that's in this match, you can't possibly expect any of these guys to win. Brian Cage, Brian Pillman Jr., Jake Something, Jeff Cobb, Lance Archer, Sam Adonis, Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay, Casey Navarro. If Casey Navarro is the stalwart, why would you sacrifice your stalwart versus any of these stars elsewhere? You don't. It's not good business. Another loss against Cash, Dax, and Trent in a 6-man match.
So he's been pretty well protected as far as singles competition.
Another loss against Juice Robinson while the belt was
my dog. The use. That's my dog.
And that match featured John Moxley and Tanahashi.
Good.
And then another loss against Moxley. Let's see here. A loss against Takagi and Naito.
It's a lot of losses for someone. Yeah.
But again, this is someone who's wrestling 2-3 nights a week. But look at the names that I gave you on those losses. Quality of competition matters, right?
Yes, but you say wrestling 2-3 nights a week. How often are you actually able to see that unless you're purchasing a third party over the top platform?
So that goes to what's the other criteria that's on here that mattered on that list?
This stuff's not readily accessible.
Prominence within the organization. New Japan, he took the United States Championship and made it the UK Championship. That's amazing work. Quality of competition, boom, that's there. Win-loss record, not so much. Overall wrestling ability, come on. I've dubbed him Big Bruv. Like
that goes without saying. Goes without saying.
And then
going on the list.
Major feuds. Every match was every loss that was a major feud. Every match was a major feud. Not a main event, but a major feud.
I get it. Keep going because we're at 5, and 5 don't make sense to us. And MJF is at 6.
Don't worry. I'm trying to get the stats on Hijo del Vikingo. The fact that I got to dig for those
tells you everything you need to anyway. He was having trouble. He was having visa trouble. He just got to where he could be in the States. So, and most of those shots he was doing were for like game changer wrestling and here, there, and the other. The match he had on Dynamite with Kenny Omega, I'm gonna put that at the top of his resume because that was the match, the one that was seen by the most people. 2 got.
I'm gonna give some applause on that because that's a classic.
I really feel
it wasn't the best match ever, but it was a classic match. It's one that when you need to go look at his body of work, that's what you want to go start with.
Exactly. If somebody asked me who that was and showed me something as to why I would like that person, that's the match I'm going to. That's the one I'm going to show. And then after that, maybe some viral clips from Instagram where he's doing like a 6-roll jump through a table in a high school gym. Nothing against wrestling in a high school gym. Everybody got to start from the bottom and grind your way up. But we talking about the top 500 in the world.
Since July of last year, the majority of his body of work, and I'm talking large majority of his body of work, was AAA.
Triple A.
And you have, let's see here. Do me a favor and pick a month, and from July to December.
November.
Not listed. Give me another month.
October.
October. Okay. Puma King and Taurus he defeats. He defeats Phoenix. He also defeated Laredo Kid and Taurus, and that was his October. And then he also lost to Laredo Kid in October. That said, and that was the same night.
I'm happy that whatever medical issue he was going through not that long ago was not anything, I guess, overtly serious, or he was able to get back to work pretty soon. So I don't want people to look at this like we're just dumping on people that are on this list. There's some stuff that doesn't make sense.
No, I'm with you, and it goes. You're second guessing yourself when you say quality of competition and prominence within the organization goes without saying, because he's the mega champion, right?
Yes. Part of the argument of saying quality of competition is, do you actually know the people that he is lined up against? So for someone whose large body of their resume comes from AAA, are you watching enough AAA to say quality of competition is up there?
AAA is a lot easier accessible for those in Texas on free television, and I dare say even here in North Carolina on free television. Meanwhile, New Japan isn't on free television, and we know far more activity in New Japan than we do AAA.
I mean, you still got Access, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right, and Access is behind. Access doesn't show
Access is like Access is like a mixtape. It's stuff for you to see. It's like an hour long commercial. Good one. It's like an hour long commercial for you to end up trying to subscribe to New Japan World. That just tell the truth. That's what it is.
That's it. Yep.
That's it. It's a commercial for you to end up putting your $9.99 into a subscription model
and hoping that you can navigate through the translation issues.
Right. I think they have an American commentary version.
They do commentary, yes, but the site is in the app itself. It needs a little work. But again, there's a large.
I think they're actually under an overhaul now, so I think there's a new one coming.
They definitely need it. Rocky Romero, I'm sure, will be instrumental in that.
Keep rolling on this list because at this point, I'm ready to make my own.
All right. Do we want to stop on MJF?
You can finish out the top 10 because the 10 is what I'm most concerned with.
Okay. MJF, Kaz Okada, Orange Cassidy, Josh Alexander, Cody Rhodes, go.
Number 8 being Orange Cassidy is the biggest preference. Like, you literally, if Orange Cassidy is your cup of tea, you think it's an accomplishment and a resume point for him to be top 10. If you're a detractor, you think it's an atrocity. If you play the middle and just deal with logic, top 20 maybe. Because
I'll accept top 20. I can't accept people like Hijo del Vikingo or Orange Cassidy in the top 10 without Big Bruv being in the top 10. Mind you, he's 17.
Who's 17?
Big Bruv.
Years old?
Ranked 17 out of 500. Bro, Bryan Danielson is 16. Continue.
Yeah. Orange Cassidy at eight. I mean, feel about it how you feel about it. I don't see the case. I understand how you might get there saying, okay, he was 31-0 up until this just recently losing the title, but he's undefeated during that stretch of July to July. He was a champion, a lot of television time. Tony Khan propped him up. So he had a level
in the organization.
Right, because he was the lead-off match for Dynamite for like, what?
Damn near a year. He was basically the TV champion.
Yeah, for a hot 6 months. Now, do you take into account that Dynamite was doing some really piss-poor ratings during that time? Yeah. Or do you just say he was the guy?
He was a guy. He wasn't the guy.
I mean, depends on whose house you at.
Because the guy was gone for 9 months. Yeah, he was gone for 9 months.
And where is he? Well, I know why he's not on the list because he wasn't there. But how do you with a clear conscience say I'm going to rank Orange Cassidy over Bryan Danielson? How do you do that with a straight face? Considering Bryan Danielson's year.
How do you rate Claudio Castagnoli over Carmelo Hayes? Claudio is the ROH World Heavyweight Champion, and you never see him with the belt.
Maybe
AEW television.
Nah, he had it the other night. Well, maybe
but the fact that it's not there 100% of the time is a problem.
Maybe you're subscribed to Honor Club. I don't know. I really don't know how you would do that. I don't.
Now,
Masha Slamovich is ranked higher than Bryan Danielson.
Synergy. This is where I have a question. I know they have a PWI top 100 for women. Are we to the point now where inclusion is necessary to put Masha Slamovich on the PWI top 500 and she makes it in the top 20 over any other woman?
I think at this point, you really need to examine whether you're more about inclusion or exclusivity. And the answer to that will decide whether you think she belongs. I like the separate but equal approach because men aren't wrestling women. So the level of competition isn't going to be looked at the same because they don't wrestle any of the same people. So you can't make those comparisons. If Masha Slamovich was wrestling the same people Samoa Joe was wrestling, then I'd be able to. You feel what I'm saying?
If you're going by the criteria, though, you could easily make a case for people to make it in the top 50. However, those people would come by and large from WWE with a very close watch on Impact even before you get to AEW.
And then there's that, because
but to have the
if you have prominence in an organization that is making more money hand over fist than anyone else in the industry, how does that not trump anything else that you might think as far as the subjective stuff goes? Man. If you're playing for the worldwide leader and you putting up numbers for the worldwide leader, that should count for something.
Name me somebody.
What, on this list?
Just name me somebody. Period. Just like give me. I want you to give me 5 wrestlers that are not in the top 10. I can tell you where they rank, and we can go from there. And then we can move on.
All right. Bobby Lashley.
Lashley, I think, is in the top 2. Actually, I think he's in the top 50.
You want somebody outside the top 50?
No, Bobby Lashley's 19. Keep going.
Drew McIntyre.
There's a good one. I don't even see him in the top 100.
He's 26.
Oh, I just skipped right over him then. Yep, 26. Okay, give me another one.
Kenny Omega's 25.
I can stop right here.
I get it a little bit, only because last Brawl Out, which is last September, that's essentially when he came back. But maybe a week or two before that, because he entered the trios tournament. So he's only wrestling trios matches for a little bit. And then I don't know how many singles matches we ended up with before we got to July, but
prominence within the organization, like if there's 1A, 1B, 1C, he's definitely 1C, even if he doesn't have a belt.
Some of the people that are listed 1 through 24. And I'm not even the biggest Kenny fan overall.
Right. That's the bigger indictment.
I will say he's the money. Now, when it comes to AEW, he is the money. And I feel like we're doing a disservice to whatever his career legacy is going to be by not running with that right now. When
he's performing, he's worth every eye watch that he gets. He just needs to shut up for us to appreciate him.
Him and Seth are like 1 and 1A.
They are each other.
The same. They are each other. They're doppelgangers. Like,
Oh my God.
they are one in one.
They cook the same steak perfectly every time.
It just depends on whether you like what it's seasoned with.
Oh man.
One guy has a decidedly Asian influence in his spice choices. The other guy, he might, go old school American. He might be, sea salt and black pepper.
I beg of you, pencil pushers, show at brokenpencilbc.com, brokenpencilbc@gmail.com. Give us your smoke, give us your takes, give us your mixtapes. I don't care what it is. This, whatever you have has got to be better than this, as long as Orange Cassidy is not in the top 10, and he damn sure better not be number one.
I ain't even gonna hold you. I ain't even gonna hold you. Orange Cassidy, okay, fine, cool. Have him wherever you want to, because this is probably the last year he's gonna be this hot, this consistently. One-hit wonders matter. Not even to slight him, but I don't know how you go back and do this again, is what I'm saying. Like, you had this magical run and you kind of, I won't say you wasted it, but you used it on the international title. You didn't use this on the AEW World Championship. You didn't use this on the TNT title. I don't know what else you can expect. You didn't use it on the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. So I don't think anybody's going to watch a repeat of season 1 with a different belt.
Bruh, let me ask you this. Masha Slamovich is on here, right?
Okay. You're right.
And now she has been wrestling guys. Not a lot, but she has been wrestling guys.
That seems like a novelty pick, but go ahead.
Okay, right on. But if that's the criteria of making it on the men's list and winning some of these matches, you don't have it to where you can put, I don't know, Jade Cargill on this list, who was undefeated up until 3 months ago.
Again, because that's my point. You're asking for too much consistency. And that's why I'm like, you know what? Assembling this list is easier if you choose exclusivity over inclusion. Inclusion gets you to making questionable decisions for the sake of not looking like you're being prejudiced. Exclusivity allows you to focus more on the criteria itself and the way that it rolls itself out. If it's exclusively a women's list, you can highlight the performances of all women.
True.
And conversely, same with the men's list. You can highlight the performances of all the men. And this is going to be my last one, and then we can either make our own list or save it for another time. I have a case that says Cody Rhodes could be number 1.
You do.
Like, if we were doing on my list, if we were doing, all-time quarterback with Roman Reigns, like, he's just goated, so we don't even include him in the top 10, Cody Rhodes is number 1. Wrote through the criteria. Because there's only one you're not going to be able to give him.
The first one that comes to mind for Cody, for me, is prominence within the promotion.
That man main evented WrestleMania, won the Royal Rumble, wrestled a trilogy with Brock Lesnar.
Overall wrestling ability.
Come on.
Win-loss record.
He lost to Roman and ain't lost since.
He lost to Roman at Mania. That is not even
the period. He took a loss to Lesnar. So,
and that was early. No, was that during the period though? Because he lost that match. Was it Puerto Rico? No, he won Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Puerto Rico was Backlash. That was the first main event. The second one was somewhere, might have been Money in the Bank, possibly, or it's somewhere in there.
Okay.
Or it's no. It's Saudi. So that's what, Night of Champions.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me get the date on that. And that was this year, or that was last year, right?
This year.
Oh, this year. Okay. So then
the Brock feud started the day after WrestleMania.
Yeah, so that was May 27th. That's right. Okay.
Boom. So you got Backlash, you got Night of Champions, and then the blow off. You probably missed the blow off. The blow off was SummerSlam,
which is post period because it's August.
It's post period. But
He did. There's one loss to Lesnar within that period. Everything else is a W.
Yeah, so one loss to Lesnar, one loss to Reigns.
Now, mind you, his period doesn't start until Royal Rumble.
Right. So, okay, still, on this list, he should be no lower than 5. On my list, he's number 1. But for the time period selected, okay, cool. One loss to Reigns, one loss to Lesnar. So your only losses in the time period are to the last 2 champions and 2 of the most dominant champions ever. Keep going. What else?
In that regard, he should be 2 or 3.
Indeed. Keep going.
What's the other one? So we said win loss. Where are we at here? Okay, there we go.
Within the company.
Championships won. No. That's the biggest black eye, or probably the only black eye.
And you know that's by choice.
Quality of competition.
Lesnar. Well, since coming back, so you got everybody who was in the Royal Rumble. Then it's a build to WrestleMania, which is Reigns. Then you have Lesnar.
And you have an Uso sprinkled in there too.
Who?
Then you have an Uso sprinkled in there too.
I'm sure you had Solo in there. Solo. Finn Balor's in there because he's wrestling TV matches. You got Dom, you got Finn Balor, you got
Miz.
Yes. He's walking his dogs. He's doing the circuit because he's wrestling more weekly television. And you would say he should be 2. And here's my my high joker. He's undefeated against 1.
He's undefeated against 1 who was handed his championship. He won in the tournament. Yeah, we'll say that. But Cody also wasn't in that tournament.
By design.
Yes. But still.
So that right there tells you prominence in company. We're not even going to put you in a secondary title situation. You have 1 goal and 1 job.
Work it out.
So after that, that's my case for Cody Rhodes being number 1. If we were going to do, Romans in the catbird seat. But
I mentioned earlier Jade Cargill.
Yep.
She lost to Chris Statlander back in, was it Double or Nothing?
Sure. I don't remember.
I believe
we watch entirely too much wrestling. Like some stuff just gonna fall by the wayside. But sure, we'll say Double or Nothing for the sake of conversation.
Yeah,
somebody will tweet us. Somebody will tweet us and tell us right.
And it was it was an impromptu match where Chris Statlander returned after Jade Cargill was like 60-0. And so then she became 60-1 or something to that effect.
You're right, it is Double or Nothing. Hit the bell for yourself.
Look at me.
Bing bong.
And she defeated Taya Valkyrie for the 2nd time.
Mm-hmm. Where is she?
Milk carton. Then she ended up losing to Jade Cargill in that impromptu match and then disappeared. She has since returned, and by the time you listen to this or see this, she would have lost to Chris Statlander again.
Right.
Rumor has it she's gone from AEW, headed to Orlando.
Whose fault is that?
Slash Stanford.
Okay. Jade Cargill is the equivalent of AEW's greatest homegrown talent. We've had this conversation before. We've said it on the show numerous times. Here's another opportunity to point it out. Undefeated during this time period and whatever other one, up until Double or Nothing.
It was essentially the entire time that AEW was on television.
Right. So no losses in that entire time period. You only have 2 on your record as a competitor, period. You were the champion of an entire network. It checks all of the criteria there. So question would beg, why would you not make sure that you lock that person up contract-wise for as long as possible? Do you not value people like that?
This will be your 2nd defection from AEW because of an expired contract.
Look at the flip side. I guarantee you at no point in life, unless he is unable to work, would you let Orange Cassidy's contract expire.
Boy, not with the value that he brings to AEW. Not at this point. because there are numerous companies that are willing to throw a bag at him because of his exposure on television, because it'll essentially bring eyes to that product in spades.
Which is very unusual for a young like that.
So why are we letting homegrown talent with we had this conversation. Black superhero. She is a real life superhero in look and in potential. And
so,
you would
so now you're willing to give the competition two? You're about to get the competition two black superhero female sidekicks. Not even sidekicks. These are superheroes.
I don't understand. See, and because I'm a sports junkie and a sports fanatic, the rule of thumb when dealing with players and you're getting towards a contract expiration and you're dealing with extensions and potential re-ups, your elite players, you want to start having those conversations literally 2 years before the contract expires. So if they're on a 4-year deal, the beginning of year 3, you want to start having those conversations. One, because if it's a rookie, you're probably dealing with them having less money than upper level athletes. So you want to try to lock in that number while it's where it is. Because if you wait until the end of that contract, the number you end up paying that athlete is going to be, it might raise 10, 15, 20%.
Answer me this, Suave.
Run it.
Off the top of your head, give me the number of wrestlers in AEW that's had visa issues.
Ray Phoenix, Pac. After that, I'm not totally sure just because I haven't done the research. Those two stick out because I know they've happened.
But there's two, and one of them as recent as less than a month ago, correct?
Correct.
You would think that considering the first one happened 3 years ago, that you would have learned your lesson, right?
You would think.
And Cody being an EVP, stepping down and then stepping aside, you would think that if you couldn't resolve a contract issue then, that you would learn from the mistakes of your past, right? So the way with your rationalization of trying to negotiate contracts 2 years in advance, it depends on how long the contract is, because there may be a 1-year deal that keeps being perpetually added on to, like a year. However, in this case, at bare minimum, you had 3 months. Four if we're rounding up, but you had 3 months.
To me, I feel like if you're the promotion negotiating with the talent and you wait till the 90-day mark, you're giving the talent more negotiating power because they have you pretty much dead to rights. Like if you value me like we think, you're gonna have to drop out. You don't have enough time to negotiate.
Here's why I differ with that one on you respectfully.
Okay.
She lost after winning 60 straight matches for the company. She was never put in a position to go for the championship, which is all she ever wanted. And
I don't think she cared either way, but that's just me.
Do you? I think it is because she made mention of it. But do you?
She also made mention that Tony Khan was an incredible boss.
That's checkers. Do you think?
Same.
Do you think that it would have been too hard for someone to call her up, say, I don't know, Memorial Day, to try to get this ironed out, or at least schedule a conversation, get it ironed out? Because in 3 months, if you take the entire summer off, you can't tell me that you can't find time to talk about some money.
Double or nothing could have been, hey, we're taking you off TV because your contract's coming up and we're going to renegotiate. Once we renegotiate and lock you in, we can bring you back and restart the push as a babyface.
Another opportunity to do better.
and again, and that's what makes me ask the question: is she valued internally? Because guess who did just get new deals?
The Elite in totality.
All of them. The whole clique.
Meanwhile, we have a suspension for someone who got choked out for allegedly starting something for someone who was a repeat offender who's no longer with the company.
I don't even want to keep getting back into that. Like
it's there.
It's stupid. It's stupid for so many reasons, and any logic I've heard anybody try to use to justify that firing, it makes absolutely no sense. You did it to appease a group of people. You chose the younger talent versus the older talent. So if you did it, just say that and stand on it.
The justification is coming strictly off of hearsay. The only people that can really say whether or not it was a terminable offense are those who were involved. And there's one person in particular who has enough couth about himself to not say anything based on the things that we've read, and that's Samoa Joe. He's going to die with that one.
Different code.
Man. Speaking of that code, people talking smack about the bloodline. Why are we talking smack about the bloodline?
Because you ain't got nothing better to do.
You got.
I saw somebody online decide that they wanted to argue that parts of the Bloodline saga didn't make any sense. Which,
such as,
pretty much the bottom of the third that we just went through.
That's and synergy again. This is why I stop all arguments or conversation with people who don't understand the bloodline situation, is the fact that it's still drawing numbers across both brands when Jay seems to be floating along aimlessly, and Jimmy seems to be living his best life while being a menace. And Paul Heyman told us, the world, it was the bottom of the third. If you don't know baseball, go do your Googles, do yourself a solid. Even if we're talking college, it's halfway through the game. In professional, we're only a third of the way through the game. Relax. Let it breathe. If you don't want to, change the channel. Huh?
Get well soon, Aaron Rodgers. RELAX.
Yes.
But so the specific point that was being argued is just the Jay and Jimmy's defection from the bloodline, Jay's attempt to become tribal chief, but Jimmy deciding, I didn't want you to turn into what Roman is, so I stopped you from becoming that.
Which makes you look that makes you look worse than a snitch, because you're impeding progress.
Yes, but so while it's a little disjointed and probably could have been fixed with one or two tweaks, the whole conversation when the promo was cut about Jay saying, I was never jealous of Roman growing up. I never wanted to be Roman growing up. I was jealous of you growing up. Because you were the prom king. You were the guy. You were the best athlete. I wanted to be like you. And then Jimmy takes that and it becomes what it becomes. Here's how you fix it. At SummerSlam, instead of having Jimmy come out and betraying Jay, you have Jimmy show back up as though he's going to help Jay, and then he just makes the mistake of super kicking Jay, and that leads to him losing. That way it looks like Jimmy's intentions were fine. The end result wasn't. And Jay can have his same reaction afterwards. Jay can say, you know what? I'm sick of you. I'm sick of them. Everything else can happen the exact same way. And Roman can still offer him his spot back into the bloodline, and Jimmy can just say, no, I don't want to be here. The
only piece of this to me that is like, why do we even do this, was Jay quitting, only to come back a few weeks later on Monday Night Raw. Because, but then again, actually there's no because. But then again, think about how many storylines they lit the fuse on and we completely abandoned. This is no different. That was a botch in writing, and the idea may have been good on paper. The execution flawed completely. Doesn't matter. We're here now.
Sometimes you have snafus, but by comparison to all of the other creative you're getting across the spectrum of professional wrestling, you're gonna try to call this the most illogical thing going on.
one thing what you're not going to change is the fact that Roman's legit last name is Noye, and that Jimmy and Jay's legit last name is Fatu. You're not going to change that. So to think that the bloodline is over and Paul Heyman is still in WWE, alive, kicking, and supporting the tribal chief head of the table and WWE Grand Champion, stop it. Stop it. Top of the fourth. Top of the fourth. Now, speaking of you fantasy booking, right?
All right.
TKO Holdings is now official. The McMahon regime as owners of WWE out. Enter Endeavor with WWE combining for TKO under the umbrella with the WWE and UFC.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you heard about TKO All-Star Weekend?
I've heard about All-Star Weekend having like a dope SmackDown with some cross promotion for a UFC pay-per-view on Saturday and then a WWE PLE on Sunday.
Which for people like us would be greatness. I'm just like, I know the two different fan bases. Like we literally fall smack dab in the middle. But for what we know the traditional wrestling fan to be versus what we know the traditional UFC fan to be, I don't know how those two sets of people coexist in one concentrated area for a weekend of events.
I can tell you two people that you need to have involved one way or the other. And if you really want to get inside your bag, you can bring in a third.
Who that?
Brock Lesnar to represent WWE. Daniel Cormier to represent the UFC. We talked about this 4 years ago.
The main event of a PLE, then that being it. Yeah.
And them not even having to have a match. They just need to be there, plant the seed. And if you really want to get open, you had interest in somebody else saying that they potentially could join or wanted to join WWE. That person being John Bones Jones.
You need to figure out how to get Conor McGregor on tap, regardless of what his legal situation looks like at the time. If he's not in jail, you should probably have him there.
And the mic, the you don't even have to worry about his mic because the McMahons don't control it anymore. Whatever happens under the TKO umbrella.
That's what I'm most interested to see. Like, okay, I've heard the story that, we're not going to creatively control anything. Vince McMahon knows wrestling, so he's going to be in charge of the brand. I'm waiting to see how long that lasts.
Yo, the pictures from the New York Stock Exchange this past Tuesday with Triple H, Vince, and Bianca Belair, Tez.
Oh, that was
the craftsmanship of Durag Vince. Him with the mustache is killing me. The fact that you are almost 80 years old and have a natural colored mustache that's not gray. Oh man, we've never seen Vince McMahon with facial hair, and all of a sudden now he has a mustache at almost 80 years old.
Looks like Dick Dastardly.
He looks like a heel. He looks like I'm a firm believer that every bad guy in a superhero comic book and or movie thinks that they're the good guy.
He does look like a Spider-Man villain now that you mention it.
Because their intentions are to better the world in their eye. Look at Thanos. Perfect example. So they want to rid the world of those who want to change the evil. That's noble. That look is Vince McMahon's mustache.
And let's not gloss over the fact that they put Bianca and Montez on parade. That was not by happenstance. That was a planned, meticulous choice.
Arguably one of the most naturally charismatic, actually, arguably the most naturally charismatic couple in the business.
I've seen that method employed from as high as Stanford all the way down to your local church. When it's time to put people in front of people, you go with the people you trust the most to make the best impression. So if you weren't going to go with the married couple of Seth and Becky, if you want to show inclusion, if you're going to show inclusion, that's who you go with.
that enough said. I don't want to go too much into detail, but enough said. That
Right.
Applebee's commercial that Seth and Becky did. Meh.
I mean, look, it's Applebee's. What are you expecting? What quality of a commercial are you expecting? It's Applebee's.
LA Night and Snickers.
Snickers has always had a better marketing department. How many Applebee's commercials have you ever seen with people in them?
With real people actually having conversation and dialogue? I don't recall any.
The last one I saw was when it was Braun Strowman, Alexa Bliss.
I don't even
know. That was a table for three. That wasn't even a commercial, bro. That was a table for three.
Was that table at Applebee's?
Yes. Yes, they did a table for three in an Applebee's. I swear. Pull it up on the cock. Pause.
Oh my God. Yo, that's another show we need to do. We need to do what's
you gotta know who you're dealing with.
What's on the CAC? We need to go through like must see things that are on the CAC.
New segment.
Yep. What's on the CAC? I had
a name for it, and I said I'm not going to use that because that would have been funny for real. I do have a name for the segment, but I'm not using it. I'm not.
Type it to me. I'll wait for this one. While Swab
keep talking about what you're talking about.
Our last bit of business is that we had an exit from WWE over the last week that not only was no one expecting, I don't think anyone really cares. The wrestler formerly known as Elias is no longer with WWE. The irony is that he got future endeavored while there was a future endeavor happening with TKO. So Swap just sent me the name of the segment. And all I can say is herpes.
Oh God!
Show Broken Pencil BC. Broken Pencil BC.
Is you quitting? Nah. We got a couple more before we get out of here.
Do we? Oh,
yeah. Well, at least one. We gotta address this attendance. We gotta address this attendance at all.
Please go ahead.
So he's not gonna be able to. He's a child. He's not gonna be able to function the rest of this episode.
Oh man! All right, go ahead. All right,
that is awful. AW all in attendance. Boom. So
we go from 80. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's back up too. All this scuttlebutt and Cap about, and it wasn't Cap originally, but then we found out.
I'm trying to find the best. Okay, WrestleNomics. I've heard them. They're reputable. Go ahead.
All in. Did over 81,000 buys in terms of ticket sales.
Reportedly paid, that what was called paid attendance.
Over 81,000 paid, with an actual turnstile attendance of
72,265.
And this
is local government, so there's no bias involved.
The whole argument here is this: A, you ever hop a turnstile?
I know how to, but if you bought a ticket, why would you need to?
Because it's fun. I actually busted my chin and chipped a tooth right here when I was 17 years old in Arlington, Texas.
Yeah, that sounds fun as hell.
I didn't expect it to go down quite that way, but
nobody ever expects it to go down quite like that when you.
But I did it, and I had a ticket. Is what I'm trying to tell you.
That was a poor decision on your part.
Absolutely,
I promise.
Absolutely, I've been speaking with a lisp ever since.
See, so if I see anybody decide that they're gonna hop a turnstile when you've already paid for entry, that's just you being stupid. Dumb ways to die.
Just hand in the chest to say, shake your head and say, Wood did it.
Dumb ways to die.
So to this, I say it's still a successful event. And if you're pulling out, if these numbers are coming out to slight what AEW did, shame on you.
No, they do it to everybody. They did it for WrestleMania 32. So the 100,000, 103,000 they went through was really only like 80,000 paid attendance. They've done it with WrestleMania 3 with the Silver Dome record. They've done it with every record in pro wrestling history. This event should be no different.
And you find me any event that has tickets involved, and you show me someone that has that where the crowd was papered, and I'll show you a good businessman or woman.
And here's the thing, it's a 100% still a great accomplishment, something that most people felt like they might not be able to do. The issue becomes is when you started using that information, attempting to troll Stanford. Wrestling media and a lot of your buddies started using that sold tickets number to troll Stanford, knowing that at some point, whether it be from an independent source or somebody just doing some digging, trying to find some dirt, we're gonna check the numbers. And for that, it's almost a 10,000 person discrepancy. And you say sold tickets, so you got the idea. You got scalpers. You have which I had been alerted to the fact that there's a difference in how tickets and ticket sales are handled across the pond versus how they're handled here. But scalpers are something they just haven't been able to get over. So yeah, if scalpers are going to buy up tickets or the promotion,
that's because scalpers were embraced in the United States because of places like StubHub and what's the other one?
Those are the real scalpers.
Talk about it.
especially with some of the convenience fees and the extra stuff that gets added on. They're the real scalpers. But what I'm saying is the promotion could, even as a back channel method, play the role of scalper and supply the funds for a certain number of tickets to be bought to run up the score. And because you're going to end up you're going to comp some people no matter what. Corporate buys, whatever the case may be.
Friends and family.
Right. There's going to be some comps. So the number in attendance is always going to be higher than the paid attendance. But
if you don't do media, you're absolutely stupid. But if you do media, you're going to give media passes. Media and tickets to the show.
All of the above. Media passes, friends and family. Wrestlers are going to invite spouses, children. You're going to have people that are a part of that crowd that add into the final total number that did not pay to get in there.
Come on, man. Talk to them.
And which I have no problem with. If you had told me the number was 70, whatever this number was, hold on, 72,265. Man, this is great for wrestling. This is great for AEW. More continued success. I hope the product continues to reflect a situation where you can continue to get those numbers. But if you're going to use the number 81,000, whatever it was, in an attempt to troll Stanford about having the
81,000 paid to say nanny nanny boo boo, slap yourself.
You trash for that, and you knew they were going to pull the covers back.
You knew what time it was.
This is the internet. Pepperidge Farms remembers, and the internet never forgets. Put that on the shirt and then sell me mine.
This is that daytime energy, boy.
I'm just saying, bro, like, you didn't have to do this. Like, I feel like Drake giving a 20 to a stripper. You don't have to do this. And that's my whole point about everything that tends to happen that I don't like about Jacksonville. Focus on yourself. Stop using everything to try to shoot a slug or troll Stanford, knowing they are petty supreme.
So
focus on you.
Those were all in numbers, right?
Right.
All
in. Okay. Wembley. They put it in Wembley. They got 72,000 out of it.
All right. Let's see if we got the all out.
You don't want to see them numbers. Them ain't the same, bro. Them is not the same.
Yeah. So the all out, the buys are in, and so it says. Have
you seen the pay-per-view buys from All In? I think it was somewhere close to 200,000, 200,000.
I have not. It says, so this says.
I'll look it up.
All out.
What you doing?
The next week did hurt that play the replay buys for All In. Forbidden Door, blah 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 blah. The second largest behind 2021's All Out, which would have been closer to 180,000.
Yes, that's what I'm saying about 180,000 buys. So 180,000 times. Oh, go ahead and do what you were doing. I'm going to do this math.
Yeah, so I'm actually looking for the all out numbers. Because
About $9 million in revenue.
everything
So
pointing to all in. You talking about for all out, or we are for all in?
all in.
Yeah, that's amazing because
Facts.
what was the show where he's talking about the first $1 million gate that AEW had was early on.
That was Brawl Out. When they were setting up for Punk versus Hangman Page.
Yes, that was last.
Like they had sold the first $1 million house, and that's when Page decided to go into business for himself about something and someone who was of no consequence at the time.
Yikes.
Bruh, if that's not worthy of a firing, then nothing is. You finna mess my money up?
Oh,
talking about something and someone that's expendable.
So
I should fire you for being so stupid.
The United Center capacity is 23,500. I think we went over this a couple of episodes ago, right?
Of course, because we do our factuals.
The all out attendance for 2023.
Okay.
9,826.
A little over a third
of capacity. A third of capacity. Here's what's crazy. Now, granted, not 10,000 people, great crowd. Even for Chicago, great crowd. I mean, hell, the original All In did 10,000 people.
If the capacity is 23, capacity is 23, you did a little under 10.
It's about 40%. Yeah, I mean, it's still like still good.
Did you break even at the gate? Is what I'm asking.
So there's question number one. Did you break even? Number two, is it feasible to keep running these shows in these types of venues?
Some of those won't. Like, let's be honest. They're gonna keep running Chicago because one, it's a wrestling hotbed. Two, Tony Khan's from Chicago. They're gonna keep running Chicago. I don't think they keep running buildings of that size because the draw that you had in your pocket that was filling those buildings up is currently unemployed by you.
I keep forgetting that Tony Khan's home is Chicago.
Factual.
And okay. So I didn't realize Wrestle Dream was a tribute to Antonio Inoki.
I mean, there's a lot of cool tributes. It's just, we're starting to fill up that pay-per-view calendar, and you're going to start to see people make some real crunch time decisions. They're going to need an over-the-top streaming platform sooner than later because I don't know anybody who's going to drop $50 for 12 AEW pay-per-views in a year, and we're already closing in on 8.
I'm not doing it next year where we're doing it 2 weeks in a row. Like that buy one, get one. Probably to me, I think that was the best sell that anybody could possibly do. We went in and did them both just because that's what we're used to doing. But after debating it for a while and even short-sighting what All In was going to be, and then and was pleasantly surprised by the number. And I think the number is why we bought it, not the card. I won't be doing that next year. We
were let down a little bit. We were let down a little bit.
Wrestle Dream has a capacity on hand for at the Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Washington of 18,300. Over under on 50%. Mind you have Nick Wayne, Darby Allin, and Shane Strickland all from the area.
I don't care about none of that except for Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland. You'll be over 50. I believe because you're booking matches early. So we've got Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland already booked. Zack Sabre Jr. and Bryan Danielson already booked. I don't know if there's been any more announced or added, but I think you'll do over half. I have faith you'll do over half.
I'll take the under. Next episode. Next episode.
That's cold-blooded.
Well, no. I'm doing this for value. Next episode, we come up with a friendly wager.
All right, that's cool. I'm with that.
And you come up with the stipulations.
So then we'll have the total capacity of the arena they're in, the number I have to hit to get over 50%, and then we'll make our wager.
Oh, I can do that in my head. That is 9,150.
All they have to do is 9,150 for that venue.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, bro, you might as well get ready to send whatever you sending in the mail. Yeah, Brian Danielson in Seattle.
You know what? You know what?
This is supposed to be his go home tour.
You know what? No, I have a surprise for you. I do. I have a surprise for you.
I don't accept it.
You do.
No,
you do.
I
I guarantee it.
Okay.
You pick the stipulation when I win, but if you win, I will unveil your surprise the very next episode after Wrestle Dream that we do, Broken Wrestle Book and Company Person Podcast infused with hip hop.
That really, 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 truly does not feel advantageous to me at all. I have to be honest with you. Even if it is.
Suave, if I tell you to trust me, I have never steered you wrong with a straight face. Trust me.
What about when your face ain't straight?
You already know the deal there. I'm an idiot. I'm a whole child. You know
you're a child.
This is adult wood here.
Okay, I hear
this
you.
is father of the fruits of my loins wood here.
Well, then I feel like we should make a side bet then. Like if me winning, you've already determined what I get if I win. So we need.
It literally just popped in my head, but it's because of what I have to do after we record. I promise you, this one I can't miss. I can't miss.
I got you. We'll iron out the details, but yeah, they'll definitely do more than half. They'll get close to a sellout.
Oh, you know what? I just shot myself in the foot because Danielson's from the area too.
And we've recorded this. I just said that.
I forgot Danielson's from the area. You said Danielson. I know he's there, but I forgot that he's from the area. He's from 3 hours away.
And he has made it public that he is in the last year. He feels like this is his last year wrestling. I don't know if that means end of 2023 he's done, or from the time he said it, you've got 12 months. But
I love the idea that they're going to break the glass in case of emergency with him and only sprinkle that seasoning when absolutely necessary. He is smoked paprika at this point.
I absolutely believe that Tony Khan, and this is a free one. You can still Zell me mine, but this is a free one. If it's 12 months from now, Daniel Bryan should be the
Brian Danielson.
Brian Danielson, / Daniel Bryan, should be the main event for every pay-per-view over the next 12 months for his retirement tour. And they should all be dream opponents. They should just all be This is perfect for Tony Khan.
Wrestle Dream should kick off the Brian Danielson retirement tour and should end at Wrestle Dream. That's what you're saying.
The final lap. Shout out to 50 Cent and Busta Rhymes.
Also, shouts out to the late, great Nipsey Hussle. Show at BrokenPencilBC.com, BrokenPencilBC@gmail.com, at BrokenPencilBC on all things social. That's at BrokenPencilBC on what?
Everything.
Suave, take him to the house.
Like, rate, subscribe, share. Do it all again. Tell a friend, and then tell a friend to tell a friend, then tell that friend again. Pencil pushers. Heads up, pencils down.
Which well,
that list is so much disrespect. Boy, couldn't be me.
Where we at? Where did it go? Oh, duh.